Whoa! Whoa! It's season 2 commentary tracks.
You've seen the episode, now see it while you hear us.
Oh my God. We got everyone introduce yourselves. We got
Me, Ryan Ridley.
It is I, Wes Archer.
Wes Archer directed. Justin Roiland here.
And I'm Dan Harmon.
We're here to talk about a Rickle in time. Is that what it's called?
I guess so.
Time
Boy,
sickness.
we have to figure out a formula for the titles because there is none. Some are based on name puns, other movie spoofs, and then some are just random.
I like it though.
So we ended season 1 with the delightful little thing that could have pretty much been we could have just decided to never address it again. Justin was particularly passionate about starting season 2 exactly where we left off, or as it turns out, 6 months later in subjective time or whatever. But that dealing with this as if it was a thing, and then all hell broke loose.
Yeah, the initial instinct was like, oh, how crazy would it be when people tune in to season 2 and it's like, right, everything's still frozen. It's right where we left off. Like Harmon said, it's 6 months later, but they haven't done anything but fuck around. A frozen sort of cityscape. But I do remember saying I knew it was going to be tricky, and I was like, worst case scenario, we can just have that be the cold open, and then things just then just tell a evergreen whatever story. But we
did the opposite.
Well, we had this crazy awesome idea, and then we refused to. We're like, no, we can do this. We can fucking do this.
Yeah, we could have saved it for. We did not. This is us not even starting to learn the lesson called if something feels too difficult, walk away. And I think we just made it everyone's problem. How complicated this got, and put the whole season behind schedule immediately. That's a tradition we have.
The problem starts when you go, well, what are the effects of freezing time? Because it's not like we're spoofing a trope. We're creating our own mythology. This whole thing was invented, the effects of time sickness or whatever you want to call this.
Yeah.
And so we have to figure out our own rules, and then that's when the spiraling begins.
Yeah, it's easier to just take a sci-fi trope, and then we get to be the fun people.
Subverters of it.
It's like, oh, everyone knows how a Jaws works.
Yeah.
Oh,
you're going to need a bigger boat. What about what Jaws?
Two Jaws.
Two Jawses.
Yeah.
Well, what if the boat becomes a Jaws?
What about a Jaws that talks like Curly from the Three Stooges?
So Wes Archer, you just described Jabberjaw. Wes Archer, so you're the head of the creative team on this, and you start getting these pages like what is happening from the real side of the fence.
It was a lot of fun. We had to redo the opening, I think, 3 or 4 times, but it was interesting. I think initially, what happened? Summer and Morty hugged each other, and there was a time quake.
Right.
And then there was this really funny sequence where Morty was wearing short shorts, and Rick was just teasing him mercilessly, and Morty freaked out and caused a time split.
Right.
The shorts stuff will, I think, be included in the DVD, right, Justin?
Yeah, we actually because Wes directed, and then the board team that worked with them on it, which Wes, you remember everyone who was on your team, right? Like it was.
It was Martin Archer. And that's my brother.
Yeah, your brother.
Yeah. Took me took all of us a long time to realize that was your brother, by the way.
Yeah,
Scott,
for real.
Yeah.
It's a mystery in the office.
And Scott
Alberts. Who works.
He works remotely, like in Spain or something.
Yeah.
So you guys.
Can I do that?
You guys boarded multiple versions, and then we cut to animatic. So yeah, it felt like a good bonus feature to throw in the DVD. So you can watch those in the animatic section right now.
The shorty shorts thing is pretty great. I wish that was still there.
Well,
It's establishing that Morty just in the course of the frozen time decided to go to the mall and
change his look
into wearing shorts.
But like I could have done better. I feel like the voice performance was what killed that. Like because ultimately, it just felt forced. You know what I mean? Like I riffed for like 20 minutes as Rick, like just making fun of Morty. But
it was super funny, but this makes more sense the way it finally worked out.
Yeah, I mean, you want to
story-wise.
pursue some kind of arc. In this case, it was like, oh, the siblings. I don't know, man. It was,
it was like it was like, I'm gonna be Grandpa's new sidekick kind of a thing, and then
and then originally this B story was fused to the Timequake concept in that even though they weren't conscious of it, in this story, there was another layer to this story where a sort of Kurt Vonnegut style Timequake kept happening. So that they weren't really, Beth and Jerry weren't conscious of it, but they would keep kind of repeating events, or like weird shit was happening, like
visual stuff.
yeah, like the cop would be a slee stack, but then he would turn into a caveman, and
The landscapes would be like it'd be like futuristic and then prehistoric, and
Basically, time was just all effed up.
time was just fucked up. But they weren't aware of it. The audience was aware of it. Jerry and Beth were sort of just moving through this.
Well, the original, I think, idea was that Rick took them before they were unfrozen and to get them out of the way for the episode, put them in like I don't know, like a giant cardboard box or some sort of scenario where then when he unfroze them, they would appear to themselves if they woke up in a mysterious cube-like or lost-like environment where there'd be like a plumber and a single mother and a heroin addict, and we were trying to
It was
take
like
the piss
Lost.
out of
At
the
one
Lost
point, it was on an
rip-off
island.
era.
It was literally on an island.
Yeah,
at
it was
one
like
point.
the idea was that it was going to be an homage to event programming.
Yeah.
Early
And-
21st century.
And Rick knew that they would just be so occupied spiraling on that scenario.
Trying to figure out who amongst them is not telling everything that they know, and
And it was just because Rick put a bunch of random demographically diverse people into a parking garage or something.
Yeah. A doctor, a
keep
pregnant
them
mother.
busy, playing out this drama for.
But ultimately,
B-story.
the reason that failed is because those genres are a parody of themselves, and especially in their lack of payoff. I mean, if you watch those shows long enough, they do end up just fizzling, and so it wouldn't have been funny for our story to just fizzle.
yeah. Also, I think part of the reason too is like we were having so much trouble with this A story that any sort of like dovetailing with the B story, it was just like, let's just carve this fucking B story out so it can just be its own narrative, completely independent of this very complicated A story. I remember the B story was sort of like, I mean, I think we all agree, like we probably could have done a little better with the B story, right? Am I the only one?
Yeah, no, it's
But because we were it was like, look, we got a fucking functioning, trackable B story. We kept
Good
going
enough.
back to the
all of the actors in the B story that aren't our regulars are basically Mr. Show alumni.
Yeah.
Jill Talley is the nurse here. Jay Johnston enters as the that's
Tom Kenny.
no.
Oh,
That's
Is that?
the Hunter is Tom Kenny.
That's Ennis.
No.
No.
The Hunter is Tom Kenny. Paul F. Tompkins is the lawyer. Ennis is not in the episode.
Oops.
But we do love John Ennis.
I think this is rule number 15 of the rules we just got for commentators. Don't confuse who we cast in the Mr. Show-averse.
I wanted to I don't know. I mean, only super comedy nerds would even notice that, I guess. That the B story is all Mr. Show people.
Justin used to go to the Mr. Show tapings when he was a little boy, so I think that this is a
I was just a young
this
boy.
is a nice payoff to a childhood dream, being able to cast them in your own show, I think.
Yeah, I got to meet Stephen Colbert there right before Jon Stewart took over The Daily Show.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I got a signature on a manila envelope.
Wow.
And a
then
photo
you
with
cast him in this season as well.
Yeah.
We'll
I
get
don't
to
think
that
he
later.
would even know that.
That he was cast in the show.
No, that I met him. I don't know.
Moving on. So, the device was a lot of... Dan, what do you remember from the device? That was one of the many hang-ups. I mean, just whenever there's anything where we're trying to figure out our own rules, it's just... We drive ourselves insane.
Well, because it's such a densely packed sequence of rules. It's like, okay, and then if you opt to go in a different direction in any one of those rules, it's like almost like having this massive switcher board with everything connected, and then if you switch one to another slot, it just everything has to be changed.
We were happy when we came up with this, though.
Yeah.
Because it felt like we were writing a cartoon for a second.
Yeah, I mean, it's like something's happening. There was a point where, because like the rules in the final version, which I think we did a huge roundabout where we went away from it and then we came back to it, which was just uncertainty causes the split, because it was just these sort of time quakes that just happened randomly that were sort of exterior to the characters, and that they had to sort of react to them, and then we got away from that pretty early, and then it was sort of like, okay, well, they're causing these quakes in some capacity, and it was uncertainty. And I remember at one point it was chaos, and even now if you watch the episode, they like the chaos would apply to every quake except for the very last one, which is like the joke where he's like, hand me the Phillips, which is coming up, and he's like, oh wait, no, I mean the flathead. That was one where like, well, there's no way to apply chaos to that. Like,
so that was a residual uncertainty.
Yeah. Like how is chaos?
When you're talking about how to define chaos, let alone uncertainty, it's just that's where also then you get into like a semantic spiral.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Chaos. Yeah, it's like everyone just be chill. Is this still? No, I think it's okay. I think that's.
We don't go away for a commercial break.
Yeah.
I think we do.
By the way, Dan's getting over a very, very serious illness.
Won't you join me?
Just like the characters of the show.
It's the flu. It's not like a serious illness would be like cancer or
uncertainty.
something.
I thought was the bullseye because it was an intersection between quantum physics and human condition. That a 15-year-old girl could be uncertain about something, and so can the universe. That there is no such thing as chaos. Chaos is like, that party was chaos. Like that just means random. And it's like what can happen to a person that can also happen to a particle. I don't fucking know.
Well, plus it's also see that's the shit that we were up against with this one. It was like fucking getting into quantum physics and like
there was a version. Now all these old versions are flooding back to me where Morty had to be basically strapped into his bed because he was so unpredictable that he had to be kept confined utterly.
Dude,
physically.
that was like super fucking early.
We definitely we put enough thought into this episode we could have done a season of episodes about this episode. That's the insane thing, and at least we didn't repeat that season 3. Because we ended on a cliffhanger and we had already put a bunch of thought into that. You know, like we at least had a story going for our first episode.
Yeah.
Season 3.
These are inspired. This guy's the Keegan-Michael Key whatever you call him, Time Lord master character, was inspired originally by the Stephen King miniseries movie, The Langoliers.
Langoliers,
and I think originally this whole thing was going to be these time-eating monsters that were a little more like that.
Yeah, the first, and I could be wrong, this may not be the first, but one of the earliest ideas that we sort of eschewed pretty early on was just them running around town, fucking around in this frozen environment and seeing them continue to do, I don't even know. I think we might have moved away from it because it was like, well, what are they pantsing people? Are they just walking through malls and stealing clothes and shit? and then the threshold cross was, I think, the reveal of like, I think Rick was going to be at home watching, or I guess, I don't know what the fuck he was going to be doing because time is frozen, but Summer and Morty were going to be somewhere getting him something, a Coke or whatever, and they were going to be confronted by one of these testicle head monsters, and then, that was going to be the threshold. Like, okay, we're not alone. Time is frozen, but there's some creatures all of a sudden. And then Rick was going to be like, oh, yeah, that's right. If time is frozen for too long, these Langolier munchers come. But we didn't we never it was too basic, right? Like, because what's the second act going to be? Like, just them fighting monsters or
monsters directed by Wes Archer.
Wes Archer. Sorry, Wes. Talk more about the So Wes got a script. He went off for two weeks, right, for Thumbs, and then Then Thumbs approved, and then you went off for 3 more weeks for the animatic. Then we got the animatic, and that's when we were like, okay, we gotta rethink this. Harmon buckled down, busted his ass, did a pass. We stayed up all night pitching jokes. That was the Shorty Shorts version. We got that script to you. Then you guys reboarded. Then you guys did a new board, right?
Yeah.
And Wes was a trooper, by the way.
Cool as a cucumber.
Went in to reboard some sequences.
What was your favorite experience of this episode, Wes?
The flesh gun, obviously.
Chris
the gun.
I love that character because it's one of those things that deepens the mythology of the show. Like, what are those guys? Where do they hang out? What are they doing? What was that? Didn't Rick steal that from him? That whole whatever, the crystal?
Yeah, he got it. He definitely stole it. I don't know if he stole it from
We could do a prequel
those.
where how he stole it.
Yeah. We do Tales from Jabba's Palace style.
Well, everyone thought it was hilarious the way Chris the gun got squashed coming up soon.
Yeah, I love the concept of like a organic, like just flesh
Cronenberg-y.
weapon. Yeah. Because it's like and then just to allude to the fact that it's also a pet is just fucking weird.
Or maybe he just names it like how people name their guitars. Not necessarily a pet.
Like rather than just disarming, rather than just a simple like he's got a gun and Rick gets it out of his hands. No, it's a creature that runs off like a pet would do. It's so fucking weird.
Oh, God, gross and weird!
It's just fucking
And even to Rick, it's gross and weird. Imagine everything he's seen.
It's just like the gun got spooked like a cat would or something. Like it's so weird.
And is it still? Oh no, it got ran over by a car.
Yeah, it did, like a perfectly timed.
Maybe we could do a whole episode where it's like Terminator 2.
Oh God, I remember the staging of this. Like we tried to do a version where, because when Chris goes with the gun goes out into the street, we're still in regular world, but then when as soon as the split happens, they're back in that cat void. And I remember we tried to restage this so that we were covering it from the other side. Remember, there was a minute where we were trying to see outside the garage for that split to just see how it goes from regular world to like cat void. I think, wasn't it like somewhere in this neighborhood we kept like futzing with the staging, or maybe Wes, maybe that was in color and it was like.
Yeah, it's a couple of exterior shots. With the cats, that seems too difficult to pull off, though.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was even that section. I just remember it might have been when they first end up back in regular world. It was just like we need to make sure this is really clear.
Do you guys want to talk about the process that resulting in the wallpaper of postage stamp size frames? I mean, how different is each of those?
Yeah, there's some variety in the frames that fill the screen. I think it goes 8 to 16 and 32, 64.
Mm-hmm.
And each one is totally unique?
Did we do 128?
I think towards the end there might be a shot. I know what we did. Like in color, we pushed it even more. We had our in-house Harmony team, because Bardell was doing as much as they could to sort of go in and tweak, but the problem quickly became Harmony couldn't handle all the screens, so it had to be like this huge compositing. Like I remember they would render a scene in color.
It would bog down the file.
Yeah.
So it would take an hour to render, a frame.
Yeah, it was insane. It'd be like, all right, we're rendering this computer is out of commission for the next 24 hours until the scene is finished. And if there was one little fuck up or one little like any mistake, it was like, fuck, all right, like this shot, like these kind of shots. Yeah. Crazy shit.
Everyone go home, get some sleep.
Yeah.
Come back.
Yeah, and then like there'd be a render with like this shot was that particular shot that we just finished because it had to zoom in and bounce out and do all this shit. And I remember something happened in one of those where it was like an arm clipped off for like a few frames and back on, and it was like, oh fuck. All right, we gotta re-render it.
Wait, like you're saying one of the 64 whatever frames, an arm disappeared for a second?
Yeah, but and like it was one of those things that we didn't catch, and then it was like, oh, okay, well Morty's. It was more egregious than that. It was like a head, like a layer turned off on one of the frames.
The reason I'm laughing is because we let that slip in the first season, where the sign that says "God hates you" for a frame turned into, I can't remember what it said, but something different. Like, was that just because it slipped through, or was that?
No, I think it was that was the frame. It was "God hates you" for just a second.
No, it says "God hates you," and then I think it says "God hates
No, I think it's straight up the well.
It's
we
two
may not be
different
able to
things.
say this.
Anyway,
it was. No, never mind.
it's on the.
I know it is, but I don't
cartoon.
want to say what inspired it because they're.
But anyways,
Wait, you can't say that the Westboro Baptist Church.
I mean, maybe you can. They're very litigious.
Their signs.
Yeah. I mean, it's parody,
They
y'all.
stand by
it's
their message.
satire, y'all.
But anyway,
They're public figures.
And anyways, I think that was the occasion where that slipped through, and then we're like, I'm sure you guys were like, oh fuck it, I'm not gonna.
No. That's an example of us not noticing until it aired.
All
Yeah,
right.
we had no idea.
Wow.
Until I saw someone post it online, I was like, oh fuck.
By the way, did Cold Stone ever reach out?
No, not yet. Stay tuned.
Are they trying to distance themselves, or do they not appreciate the free promotion?
They love it.
I might understand that the reason that sign couldn't match the sign that they use was not out of fear of offending our friends of whom we are advocates. But for fear of offending or getting sued by the actual homophobes.
Ridley's got it wrong because the original. Here's what happened. It was God hates you know what. I ain't gonna say it. Because you'll cut it and put it out of context and make me look like a bigot. But it was that, and then we were worried. We were like, oh, we might not get clearance for this, even though in context it's totally fine. So we did the God Hates You, and then we got approval for the original one. So we were like, oh, okay, cool. Okay, so we can do what we wanted to do. But because we had baked in the God Hates You, there was a frame of that still.
Oh boy, that just makes it look like we were trying to send a secret message.
Yeah,
dude,
that's what I always thought.
That's what I was like, oh fuck, like no, we're not.
I never noticed, by the way, Rick has a beer picture or calendar in his garage. Like he's.
Oh,
that's how he decorates.
I didn't even see that.
It's like a.
You can see the crack in the cement there from that's
the teleportation.
Wes Archer and all of his ilk, his colleagues. They've maintained this continuity across the entire series. The house teleports in season 1, and
all the gizmos are on the table in the garage.
every time there's a hole put in the roof, there's like a patch in the roof from the
That's so cool.
aerial shot. I had to learn this from YouTube videos about.
Same thing. People will say stuff to me, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about because we experience the show from a different perspective.
Yeah, I love the crack. It's so cool. It's just like no.
I love the crack.
The crack is there forever.
Oh, sorry.
Wait, I just want to talk about this mouse because that original concept was going to be we were going to try to do a thing where the background was sort of morphing. It was like this. We knew pretty early on it was not going to be feasible to do, but it was just going to be like this awesome sort of time machine-esque shot where it's like you see buildings get erected and then crumble and forests grow and die and the rat was going to be in the bubble for a little bit and then walk out and just kind of immediately decompose into like bones. All right, everybody. See you next week.
It's a good show.